Hello, and welcome to Read the World. My name is Derek Main, and I review translated literature. So, first thing you might notice, a little bit of a different setting. I usually, when I'm not traveling, I work from home, so I do the videos in my living room or my office, but I'm in the bedroom today because the whole family is at home, so I'm trying to carve out a little space for me. So over the next few weeks, months, however long the self-isolation lasts, I'll be filming from some different places. And maybe some of them will actually look good. I have no idea, since, as you all know, I am terrible at the film and editing part of this. But hopefully I'm pretty good at the reading part. So quickly before I get started, I hope everyone is doing as well as they can during this absolutely crazy time. I'm not going to dwell on it too much because the purpose of this is to celebrate translated literature and provide that as a distraction. But just know that I am thinking of you. I'm always available if anyone wants to just vent or whatever. My Twitter's down there, and this is a pretty small group of folks that have this niche or whatever, so I offer that there. All right, so today we are going to review The President's Room by Ricardo Romero, translated by Charlotte Coombe, and this is Charco Press. And look at that again, a beautiful, beautiful cover, The President's Room. This is a really, really thin volume with a lot of very short chapters. Can you guys see that there? Where, you'll see kind of just like a paragraph at a time. So a novella, I think it's safe to say. I really, really liked this book, and Charco just has excellent taste. They're making some of the best, they're putting out some of the best stuff right now, obviously. I love them. This one is a very, very enticing setup and premise. So, in this unnamed, I believe, country, everyone has a president's room. And in the president's room, you don't go in there. It is reserved for the president, who, by the way, is never named or anything. Like, it's an honorific, it's a title. It's a real person, but it's not like we get into the politics of the president. And we'll talk in a little bit about the politics of the book. But the president's room, you are in charge of kind of setting up. You put different objects in and items. You make sure it's cleaned and always prepared in case the president comes and visits. So the president's room is something saved for the bourgeois or the middle class, a family with more means, because it's mentioned that there are slums on the other side of town or apartment buildings where they don't have enough room to have a president's room. Okay, so it is an honor in and of itself for the families to keep one. And this is all narrated by I think high school age kid would be maybe middle school, but a young boy, a young man at that cusp, right? Maybe of becoming a young man. And he's fascinated with the concept of the president's room, I think, as any of us would be, and is sort of at terms fearful of it, is very curious, obviously, and curious enough to maybe want to pass over that line into, you're not really supposed to mess with stuff in the president's room. You're certainly not supposed to put anything in the president's room without the whole family have a discussion, that kind of stuff. So there are rumors that a boy in town, actually, that the president did visit his home. And the president visiting becomes a bigger theme as the thing goes, but since it's so short and since it's just I don't want to spoil every plot point, but only to say we do learn about what occurs when the president visits and what that might go like. So what I want to talk about instead is the thematic quality, because the book is not political. It does not offer or proffer a point of view on politics. That's certainly not the aim of the book. The book appears mostly interested in objects and rooms and our homes. Kind of what an interesting time to be talking about this, as many of us are spending more and more time confined to our homes. It's about, through the eyes of someone much younger, seeing all these accoutrements and objects and little touches and flourishes in a room that makes a home, and what all that sort of is, not represents, because I really don't feel like it's symbolic, but just more noticing that and being a little noticing machine throughout a home. And the president's room, the fact that it is such an honorific place, gives you even more reason to pay close attention and to give a sacred quality perhaps to the objects, and there are at least import a lot of meaning. And so the meaning of objects, the meaning of a physical space and maybe your place in it. So that's important. He spends a lot of time up in the attic, and there's a lot of the work that is interested in place where you physically are when it comes to rooms and in the home, with other lives being led simultaneously, those of his parents and of his brother. And again, nice time to review this because we're all kind of seeing that here, right? Right now I am reviewing a translated literature book. My son might be reading or playing a video game. My daughter might be creating some art. My wife right now is on a walk and talking to her parents. We're all leading these different lives, but at the same time. And of course, we're going to come together many times during the day and share and have fellowship. That's a big word, but I like that word, despite its religious connotations. So that part's interesting. Living your own life in your own place, in your own space, amidst your family. But the thing I want to kind of just touch on briefly about the politics is that it is political in a different sense, because the president is a title, and it is a title that clearly is enough of an honorific to deserve its own room. And all of these families, at least the well-off ones, are going, or middle class, are going to these links to prepare a room for the president. So it has an element of the politics of power, at least. So not politics as a process and not politics as an ideology, but the politics of power and how power structures interact with our day-to-day lives. And the reason that does really well in this novella is because the age of the narrator is someone, because he's younger, without as much power yet. So he is viewing all of these power structures and these ways in which we appropriate and prepare for power and honor power, and with a questioning, curious lens, as again, he himself, either through his age or circumstance, either has very little power, or, I think this is probably more true, is too young to be aware of his power. And slowly, by crossing some lines, he is going to mature into understanding his power and getting a sense of where his power might lie and how he might separate himself from that house cocoon and these rooms that define his life. That's what I took from it. I thought it was really good. I do think it's something that, I'm going to throw it up here again, the president's room, that some people might think of as lighter fare. It is sort of it's a whimsical story, for sure, and I may be reading too much into it. I don't know. The author's note was very good, and I'd be interested in hearing more of what he said. And he talked a bit about, I'll admit, I mean, I was definitely, when I read the author's note afterwards, I was definitely primed some, because he talked about, you know, from time to time a reader comes along seeking to find in the text a political allegory that refers back to reality or to history. And I, trying to be polite but also honest, reply that I don't know, that it doesn't matter. You know, so he kind of like definitely talks about that political aspect, at least not, you know, an overt specific political situation not being the case. Let me give you one reading. I'm going to read you a whole chapter because it's that long, and I think it gives a good sense of the narrator and the wonderful writing. My brother's fever has lasted longer this time. All the talking he doesn't do while he's awake, he does while he's asleep. You can't make out what he's saying, but he's saying something. Is he pretending to have a fever, my younger brother? Probably. Fever can never be entirely real. Very cool. Loved it. Alright, so big recommend there. My next book, usually I'm able to just pop up and show you because I've already read it. Unfortunately, I made the decision a while back that I was not going to do negative reviews, and I had a full head of steam on the last book that I was reading by an author who I'm very interested in. Actually, I have another of her books coming that is more of her seminal classic, but man, it really dropped off and left me in a slog, and I could not tell if I had stalled because of all of the externalities, fear and anxiety going on, or if the book had. And after really struggling with some time, I think partially it was the book, so I'm not going to review that. I couldn't review that. So I am in the midst of Hurricane Season by Fernando Melchor. Translated by Sophie Hughes from the Spanish, and this is Fitzcarraldo Editions. Well, obviously, you just see the blue and you know, right? This is the Fitzcarraldo Editions publication. New Directions, if it's not out, it's out soon. That's the American one, but I couldn't wait, so I'm holding it. But I'm not very far in, so I don't know what I'll do. I mean, I think I'll probably want to make a video later in this week. Maybe I'll try a tag or something for the first time and not do solely a review. I noticed my numbers they're usually pretty down. First off, I'm new at this. I'm not, known or great at it anyway, but also I do full-length book reviews, and so that's something that even really, really popular booktubers you'll see are just lower, count. People, but I think they last longer, right? Because I know for me, when I finish a book, I want to go to YouTube and I'll see if anyone's reviewed it. So that's what I like about it, is it has a dual purpose. One, if you're thinking about reading it, you can come check out my review, and without spoiling it, I'm going to give you a sense of if it's for you or not. Or if you have read it, you can come watch my review, and it'll kind of get your wheels hopefully spinning on what it might or might not have been to you as compared to what it was to me. So that's why I do full-length reviews. But yeah, I may do something a little different. If you have any suggestions or anything that you think I should try, let me know. Maybe I'll surf around for some tags and just steal one and do that. But as of now, take care of everyone as always, and be good to folks.